Hello, everybody, and welcome in. What do roses, oracle cards, and hermetics all have in common? This is a teaching about self-love that you have not heard before, and this is a very beautiful spiritual teaching that I think you're going to love. So stick around. So, one thing I have learned throughout my spiritual practice or my life is to follow something called, or something that I call, a golden thread, and it's symbolism or omens that show up with consistency. And when these things keep showing up in my day or in my life, it's asking me to pay attention to what I'm experiencing, or there's something that I can really learn from here. So in this case, we have the Wild Rose Fairy of Love oracle card that we pulled on Monday, and these beautiful roses that I have, and we'll get to those here in a second. But all right, so we're going to start with a little bit of a story with the roses. So I was having a super crappy week and I was heading out to dinner to break that up. This is what we call self-love. We sometimes refer to this as treat yourself. So that's what I was going to do, and it didn't wind up providing me the relief or experience that I was looking for. So in this setting, we can look at understanding hermetics from a different angle as well as self-love. So Hermetics asks us to recognize as above, so below, and in the case of personal experiences, as within, so without. So as I was having this really crappy week, I went to dinner and I normally sit at the bar and I'll talk to some people at the bar. And I wound up offending somebody who was sitting next to me that I didn't even mean to. I didn't mean to offend anyone. And after they left, I was sitting there. Honestly, I just closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The restaurant owner noticed this and asked me if I was okay. And I had an opportunity to not be vulnerable, but to be honest. And I just sat there in reflection of the week and this last experience and said, no, actually, it's been really tough. And now what happened was she started to open up about how tough her week had been. My external environment immediately reflected my internal honesty and truth that I had acted on. And for me, this is a gift. This really helps me. So as she was explaining her week, we went on and on. But long story short, her friend came in with a huge bouquet of roses for her because she knew she was having a tough week. And the restaurant owner took the flowers, she was walking past me and looked at her friend and was like, well, she's had a really tough week too. Do you mind if I give her some? So she gave me a handful of these roses, and I've still got two that are alive. And in this way, it was this act of compassion between friends that was rippling out to me because I allowed myself to stand in truth and honesty. And I think a lot of times we hear self-love as this real treat that we need to go act out and go to a spa and buy the outfit, wear the clothes, do all the things, when sometimes in reality, especially in this moment, all that I really needed to do and the self-love that I needed was to acknowledge what I was experiencing and communicate that honestly to someone who was asking me. And I really like this angle of self-love that I have never truly heard anybody articulate in this way, and especially in a way where it was so quickly reciprocated to me from my external environment. It immediately changed when I stopped trying to be happy about everyone, all the restaurants and shops being really busy for the holiday, and, pretending that I was this really happy person offended someone. Instead, when I took a moment to sit in truth and honesty of the situation, I suddenly got reciprocated a lot of compassion that I wasn't trying to ask for. So I hope that this lesson in self-love really serves you and allows you next time that you think of giving yourself that little treat and spoiling yourself. Sometimes all we need to do is sit in a moment of integrity and honesty and be truthful about what's happening to us so that we can receive the love that we really need in that moment. Um, this for me, this for me really helped me. Her immediate response of sharing her tough week absolutely helps me rem when I'm going through something tough, it really helps me to remember that I'm not cursed and that God doesn't hate me. So even though we don't have the exact same problems, knowing that other people are going through their own struggles in their own way really alleviates some of this pressure from an idea or a belief that I'm the only one struggling and that these things that I'm trying to achieve and do are really hard for me. And that was just one of the best treats I could have possibly got that evening was hearing somebody else was going through it too, and they were getting up every day and doing it too. This is the type of self-love that really starts to stabilize in Sovereign Empath, but this is how we look at just being truthful and honest about how we are and working with our knowing so that we can really start taking different actions in life to have these really desirable experiences, even in the face of conflict or misunderstanding. My teachings in general look at pulling down spiritual teachings into modern day life and how we can really apply those to modern day life to make our lives more pleasant and more enjoyable. In this case, it was following a golden thread that I have learned to listen to with our wild rose fairy and this true act of compassion between friends to a stranger that really helped relieve my day. And here I am over a week later with two roses to sit and share a pretty beautiful teaching with all of you and have a really beautiful symbolism and reminder as I go throughout the week and run into multiple tech issues, but we're getting through it and we know we're not the only one running into hurdles and setbacks along our journey to our dreams and goals. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me here this evening. And my name is Lindsay. This is Sovereign Rain, and I look at how science and spirituality can come together. I am honored to be your guide and a voice for some of these teachings and how to apply them in a modern world. So thank you for joining, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.